as they get underway at the Etihad Stadium. Mark Gahey, the man who many thought might be lining up in Liverpool red, comes straight back into the heart of defence after being cup-tied for the final against Arsenal. He steps in today for Nathan Ake to partner the young Uzbek Kusanov. With neither Diaz nor Stones involved in the matchday squad, the pressure is on Gahey to lead this back line. James Trafford continues in goal after his Wembley heroics, shielded by a midfield anchored by Rodri and the ever-reliable Bernardo Silva. Jeremy Doku and Antoine Semenyo provide the width. Ryan Cherky, the mercurial talent behind Erling Haaland. It's Mateus Nunes and Nico O'Reilly as the two fullbacks for Manchester City. Boost on the bench as well. Mateo Kovacic is back, involved for the first time in months after that long-term injury. For Liverpool, Arne Slot has opted for a significant reshuffle following that defeat to Brighton, making 3 changes to his starting lineup. The headline of those, of course, is the return of Mo Salah. This is the first time we've seen him start since his departure announcement, and he replaces Cody Gakpo. An early shot from Jeremy Doku dribbles wide of Mamardashvili's goal. He's deputising for the injured again, Alisson. Back 4 in front of the Georgian. Gomez, Konate, Kerkez join the captain Virgil van Dijk. It's Gravenberch and Curtis Jones who comes into midfield to replace Alexis McAllister. He drops to the bench. Matching up tactically with a 4-2-3-1. Salah on the right, Florian Wirtz on the left, Dominic Szoboszlai looking to provide the ammunition to Hugo Ekitike. No Alexander Isak. Despite the rumours of a return, the British record signing isn't involved today as he continues his recovery from that injury. Here is Konate for Liverpool. It's back to Mamardashvili. He's proved to be a more than capable replacement for Alisson. Not much choice between the sticks for Arne Slot. Liverpool on the edge of the City penalty area suddenly with Ekitike, but he's forced backwards. Van Dijk forward again between the lines. Here is Gravenberch. Towards the edge of the penalty area. They can turn and try and fashion a shooting opportunity. It's Wirtz that clips it to the left-hand side of the box. Now here's Ekitike, lays it off. Wirtz! The low effort. All the sting was taken out of it by a well-placed Kusanov. Got in the way of the effort. There's a mutual respect between these two sides, born out of hundreds, thousands maybe, battles. The minutes have gone by between these two teams, week in, week out over the past 20 years or so. It's been a rivalry that's defined the last 10 years, really. They've been upstaged in the Premier League by Arsenal in domestic action, but a chance to lift silverware. City hoping to exercise those demons of that May defeat to Crystal Palace last year in the final. Liverpool with a free kick just outside the penalty area, 30 yards from goal. It's Dominic Szoboszlai, real set-piece specialist for them, standing over it. The big men are up from the back. Van Dijk and Gomez joining Konate in there. Little clever ball from Szoboszlai, and Konate, it was facing the wrong way, tried to help it towards the target. Simple claim in the end for James Trafford. Bowled out to O'Reilly, tries to loft it down the touchline for Jeremy Doku. It's Gomez in the way. That's off O'Reilly for a Liverpool throw-in. Well, Manchester City still with an outside chance of a treble. They've got a lot of ground to make up and not much time to do it to Arsenal in the Premier League, but they've already won 1 trophy this season. And they'll be desperate to lift this FA Cup. Here comes O'Reilly. Laid off to Doku on the left-hand side. Marshalled by a combination of Florian Wirtz and Joe Gomez. Ricochets off the Charlton trainee for a Manchester City throw-in, taken by O'Reilly. Now Mark Gahey. There's a thing or two about lifting silverware at Wembley. The Crystal Palace captain. Historic day for the club back in May. Nunes finds Semenyo on the right-hand side. Kerkez trying to get in the way. Semenyo went looking for Ryan Cherki. Liverpool break it up on the edge of their own penalty area. The clearance, the ball towards Ekitike, I should say, was well watched by Nunes. Now here is Cherki again, right-hand side, tries to drive it low across the box. Milos Kerkez was in the way, and City will have their first corner. Next on the agenda for Manchester City after today, a game against Chelsea side in a bit of disarray. Well, the headlines yesterday was about William Rossini's decision to exclude Enzo Fernandez, not from just the matchday squad against Port Vale, but against Manchester City, and they really need all their big stars to try and claw back that lost ground on the chase for the Champions League. Here, though, at the Etihad, second place City with a corner, and it's a curling ball from Bernardo Silva, which is easily plucked out of the air by Georgi Mamardashvili. Bowled out to the right for Gomez. That's back to Konate. Time on the edge of the penalty area for the French international. The timely moment to remind you that if it is all square after 90 minutes, if these two sides can't be separated, we will go to extra time and potentially penalties. But at the moment, Liverpool with a strong start and Gravenberch with a bit of space in midfield. Driving towards the edge of the box, slips it to the left to Ekitike, back towards the opposite side. On his knees was Szoboszlai to cushion it down. Wirtz takes over, but he just couldn't find a route to a teammate. Instead it's Doku who starts to weave his way forward. Stopped in his tracks by Gomez. Now Gravenberch for Wirtz. Curtis Jones, back to Konate. Virgil van Dijk with the captain's armband round his left bicep in the centre circle. Gravenberch, Szoboszlai, Jones. Nice give and go with Salah. Curtis Jones still. Edge of the penalty area, out to the right-hand side. Low ball towards the near post, stabbed away by Gahey, drilled in again by Szoboszlai. Here is Kerkez to win it back for Liverpool on the edge of the penalty area. Konate for Gravenberch. Gomez. Jones will take over. Finds Florian Wirtz on the right-hand side. Back to Curtis Jones. 6,000 Liverpool supporters in today, as we mentioned in the build-up. That's more than you'd expect on a Premier League day. The rules around capacity, especially in the FA Cup, change a little bit. Not too far to travel. That Manchester-Liverpool rivalry continuing in a different vein to what we've known historically. The man who was at the centre of that is in the building today, so Alex Ferguson, one of a number of VIPs in attendance. They went looking for Salah there. And that's a sloppy pass from Ibrahima Konate. City with possession in their own half of the pitch. Fascinating to see how they get on without Pep Guardiola in the technical area. His assistant, Pep Lijnders, is often taking control in his absence, and we do see them sometimes playing a higher pressing, more intense game without Guardiola on the tiller. Semenyo. There's Cherki to return it to Semenyo. Kerkez was tight to him and intercepts that ball. Gravenberch is fouled. There's Curtis Jones standing over the free kick just inside their own half of the pitch, Liverpool. We said 6,000, we've been told it's actually getting closer to 8,000, almost a quarter of the stadium here. A red swathe of shirts away to our right. It's away by O'Reilly for a Liverpool throw-in. Quickly in by Gomez. Now here's Konate, backpedaling a little. Jones on the edge of his own penalty area. Van Dijk stops in his tracks. It's not been his best season, Erling Haaland, but still has scored 33 goals this year. Still the Premier League's top scorer. Really underlines just how the standards have changed here in the east of Manchester. That just one trophy already, and maybe a second. Here's Ekitike. He was found by Wirtz on the edge of the penalty area, pulled it wide. Yeah, the standards now these days, Manchester City expect to pretty much win everything they compete in. They're out of the Champions League. That defeat to Real Madrid means that they will play no further part. The bigger shock is how far Liverpool have fallen away from their lofty heights found last year. Fenway Sports Group, the conglomerate, the collection that own the controlling stake in Liverpool, have given Arne Slot the support publicly. Here's Cherki looking to find Haaland. Van Dijk in the way. You do wonder, if they miss out on Champions League qualification this season, will he still be in the dugout next year? Big opportunity though to cement his legacy at least with another trophy. Wrestling here, Nico O'Reilly, wrestling too physically for Dominic Szoboszlai, and the referee Michael Oliver. Sitted today by Stuart Burton, Dan Cook. Michael Oliver refereed the season's first meeting between these two sides. He's awarded 3 penalties to City this season, the most of any official. There's Mamadashvili. Van Dijk. Back to Mamadashvili on the 6-yard line. To his right, here's Konate. Space that forward into midfield. There's Mark Gahey that gets on the end of the ball. He's still there again, trying to find Doku. Gets the shout from Rodri. How's Kusanov to the right for Semenyo. It's noticeable how quickly Kerkez comes to meet him every time he receives the ball. Antoine Semenyo, the January transfer from Bournemouth. Here is Gahey getting forward, a feature of his game that wasn't necessarily highlighted by many outside of southeast London prior to his move to Manchester City. It's fascinating and in equal parts frustrating if you're a Crystal Palace supporter, I would imagine, that suddenly Mark Gahey, now that he's in Manchester City blue, is getting the plaudits that many at Selhurst Park gave him. O'Reilly finds Mark Gahey right on cue. Now Rodri. Space for Nunes, will try his luck. He was well hit but gobbled up by Mamadashvili, straight at him in the end. A long ball downfield and it might have dropped to Ekitike here. He's done Salah, in fact, who brushes off Kusanov, who gets back at him just in the nick of time. I think he's dragged that wide. And Georgi Mamadashvili, City were playing a really high line following the opportunity for Matheus Nunes. A brilliant piece of distribution. The second touch from Mo Salah, it just gets away from him and he has to hurry, and it's really good defending in the end for Kusanov to recover, gets a toe to the ball and forces the mistake from Mo Salah. Look at Kusanov, the Uzbek. It's going to be a throw-in for Liverpool. Joe Gomez, long towards the near post. Trafford punches clear. Cherki helps it further away. Kirk is on the edge of the centre circle. Took his time to pick his pass. Finds Ekitike on the left-hand side. Slips it round the corner. Nice interchange with Wirtz. It's back to Florian Wirtz. across the face of the penalty area where it's laid off by Virgil van Dijk, who stayed up there following the set piece. Gomez tries the early cross. It's against Doku. Now Gravenberg. The ball into the channel. Wirtz will challenge with Trafford. It's got a good few inches above Florian Wirtz there, has James Trafford, and as you'd expect, just waited Trafford. Okay, into midfield for Rodri. Had to walk into Liverpool's half of the pitch, finds Erling Haaland, retreating to halfway. Now Gahey on the left-hand side. Cherky's out there. It's Bernardo Silva, my mistake. Rodri, Silva. Tries to weave his way through, lovely pass, finds Cherky, couldn't take it with him. Cherky tried to tuck it through, Mamardashvili, who closes his legs just in the nick of time. That's a really good chance for Rayan Cherky. What a ball from Ekitike. Lifts it out to the right-hand side. Salah up against Gahey. Chops onto his left. Gahey twisting and turning, stays with him, and that'll be a goal kick. Really good defending from the England international. And the 129th captain in England history. In that rather tepid defeat to Japan at Wembley in the week. You expect him to start for England at the World Cup. Now he's playing at the highest level. Future looks very bright for Mark Gahey. Haaland trying to make ground down the left-hand side. Keeps his feet despite the attention of Gravenberg. Still going, Haaland. Might break to Cherky. Trying to sort his feet out. Kerkez with a challenge. City wants a penalty. Semenyo with the effort from the edge of the penalty area. Ryan Cherky has his arms outstretched. They're all barking at Michael Oliver. They're all pleading for the spot kick. We'll have a look at the replay. It was good work from Haaland, an enterprising run. Oh, I'm not sure they're having a look at this. There's certainly contact. Cherky slips it one way, tries to get away. I think it might be the right decision. Cherky is the suggestion is that Rayan Cherky has initiated the contact. Pep Guardiola sat in a executive box high in the stands here, turned over his shoulder, looked at the screen in those plush quarters. I can't believe it. I could see why the referee hasn't given it, but I can also see why Manchester City feel a little bit aggrieved. Here's Nunes. Semenyo. Cherky with the layoff. Now Rodri. To Silva. Bernardo Silva. Inside the centre circle. It's all very congested in the middle there. Gahey. Silva. Everyone behind the ball in Liverpool red. Rodri back to Silva. O'Reilly. Again to Silva. Now Gahey to his left. Down the outside for Doku. Try and shake off Gomez. Doku to Silva. Silva for Rodri. Left of centre at the moment now is Gahey. Rolled back to Kusanov. Nunes. Right to Semenyo. Met by Kerkez. Semenyo. Can't find any space, and it's Florian Wirtz getting back. I'll have to concede the corner though. Last touch comes off the German. They started a really good tempo, this one. Silva wandering across to take the resulting corner kick. Really good atmosphere inside the Etihad, driven mainly by the Liverpool supporters. The corner is headed away by Ekitike from the 6-yard line. He's done well to keep that in play, Bernardo Silva. Well, no, he hasn't actually. The assistant referee with a flag up on the near side. A throw in for Liverpool. 20 minutes gone at the Etihad. Manchester City 0, Liverpool 0. First of the 4 quarter-finals. Rodri tried to poke it back to Gahey, who incidentally has beaten Liverpool 4 times already this season. A Community Shield with Crystal Palace, a Premier League match with Palace, a League Cup game with Palace, a match with Manchester City this season. Could beat them 5 times in 1 year, Mark Gahey. Gravenberch. Jones was upended. Bernardo Silva, free kick was Liverpool's way, just inside the City half of the pitch, and they're going to try make a little bit more of this. And take their time with the delivery. Quater and Van Dijk getting forward. Szoboszlai took it relatively quickly. I'm not sure they were quite set for it. Ends up as a Liverpool throw-in down this left-hand side. Torre. Once was a Manchester City defender. The bench now. In his technical area. Seen by Gomez. It's away by Mateus Nunes. By Jones. It's almost lofted straight up in the air by Milos Kerkez, who was given no time by Cherki. It's a slightly misplaced pass over Gomez's head. It's given away by Nunes. Curtis Jones, Ekitike, corner of the box. A blue screen in front of him though. Still gets it loose to Szoboszlai, who's been dispossessed by Doku. Felt he was pulled back as he crossed the halfway line. He certainly was, and Michael Oliver blows the whistle and produces the first yellow card. It's for Ryan Gravenberch. First time so far this afternoon we've seen Liverpool look a little bit panicked. It's a soft one, just a little tug on Jeremy Doku as he tried to get away. Gahey. Rodri has flashed over the top towards Semenyo. Too close to Mamardashvili, the Liverpool goalkeeper. Launched away by Mamardashvili. It's off the knee of Ekitike. That's the first touch by Florian Wirtz. Van Dijk. Arrows one, diagonally out to Salah. What a switch that is. Gomez, Szoboszlai. Edge of the centre circle, across it to Van Dijk. Down the outside for Ekitike. Wirtz. Ekitike. Wirtz. Drifts past Nunes. Held up on the corner of the box by the retreating Semenyo. Wirtz finds Kerkez. Now Florian Wirtz again. Jones, Kerkez, Curtis Jones. Van Dijk to Curtis Jones. It's noticeable how wide both Salah and Ekitike is staying. At the moment, Ekitike is the one that's stepping into a slightly more central position. One of the hands of James Trafford. On the midway point of this first half, there have been plenty of chances already. What's an entertaining watch so far. It's forward by Silva, looking for O'Reilly. Lofted ahead of Gomez to an offside Jeremy Doku. It's that time of the year now, we're into April season. And finish before you know it, in the blink of an eye. We've got a World Cup on the agenda, the summer to come. Morashvili whipped out to the right hand side. That's good work from Gomez, holds off Doku. Nice kick from Curtis Jones. He's trying to play it forward, but it will be Ekitike who steps back to ensure Liverpool will keep the ball. As Jones almost playing that central pivot role. Between the lines for Wirtz by Konate. Outside now is Salah. Approaching the edge of the box, the right flank of it. Pulled back to Szoboszlai. Back to Salah. Onto his left. Into the penalty area. Jones takes it down. Gravenberch is there. Ekitike was there too. And that's over the crossbar. Well, Rodri looked like he'd broken things up, but the touch bounced away from him. It sat up kindly for Hugo Ekitike. He should probably hit the target, you know. Towards the right-hand side, that's an awkward bounce that takes it over Antoine Semenyo. Arne Slot's convinced that should be a free kick. He thought that Antoine Semenyo grabbed it with the ball still on the pitch. I'll have a little look for you. Sure, you know. It's Ekitike. City seem to struggle to keep the ball for an extended period of time as Liverpool win it back, and now Kerkez for Van Dijk. Konate, spear between the lines. Wirtz, that's good play. Szoboszlai almost left it behind. Szoboszlai towards Ekitike. The offside flag is up and Liverpool will be stopped. He's doing really well here, Florian Wirtz. Not been the smoothest start to life for Liverpool, but it's taken time to gel, to click, and he's starting to show what he can do. Here's Nunes. Want to shake off Wirtz. Here goes Kerkez. Run out of space. Come again, Manchester City. Doku, O'Reilly. Doku now on the left-hand side. Well, they're going to get the corner off Szoboszlai. Didn't know much about it, but had to just try and adjust and get in the way of the cutback from Jeremy Doku. City with the corner. Doku and Cherki out there. Kusanov and Gahey taking short to Cherki though. Silva to the edge of the box to O'Reilly. Bit behind him. Shall Liverpool to get bodies around him. Doku, decent ball. Looking for Haaland. It's good defending from Virgil van Dijk though to lift it away. It's one of the battles of the modern era. Van Dijk versus Haaland, isn't it? Rodri steps away from Ekitike. Out to the left-hand side for Doku. Three shirts flood out to meet the Belgian. Doku pulls it back. Here's Silva for Cherki. Kept at arm's length at the moment. Semenyo, a decent ball pushed away by Mamardashvili. Here's Ekatike to take it away. Florian Wirtz with a nice touch on the edge of his own penalty area. So, clever idea from Antoine Semenyo. It just took a little flick off Milos Kerkez on the way through to make it slightly more awkward for the Liverpool defenders. Haven't seen as much of Ray and Cherki as we might have expected. Really is a brilliant talent. Kind of frustrated at times, and he was chastised by his manager for showboating in that Carabao Cup final win over Arsenal. Here's Silva. Over half an hour played now at the Etihad Stadium. Manchester City 0, Liverpool 0. Here's Nunes. Cherki. Inside right channel. The ground to the edge of the box, forced back by a combination of Wirtz and Jones. He'll find Haaland. Now Gehi for Doku on the left. Two in his way. So it's Cherki. Little give and go for Doku, but too much on the pass. Just couldn't quite catch up with it. Had to play it with a decent amount of pace, Ryan Cherki, to get it beyond the two defenders. Mamardashvili looking for Ekatike. Kusanov's header. Haaland hands it back to Semenyo. Nunes. Rodri needed a shout. Extricated himself from the clutches of Florian Wirtz, who's forced to foul the Manchester City midfielder. Rodri. Held up by Ekatike. Now Mark Gehi. Crossed wires with Jeremy Doku. And playing with more energy than their opponents today, Liverpool. And it was Rodri that just tugged back at Hugo Ekatike, who joins Ryan Gravenberch in the book. No complaints from the Manchester City veteran. Here's Gomez with the throw in towards the edge of the penalty area, laid back by Gravenberch. Now Jones. Gomez swung in there. Van Dijk has stayed. A lovely little touch. Back heel to almost find Ekatike. Swept away by O'Reilly. It's a wonderful little flick from Virgil van Dijk. Probably could have taken it on himself, you know. Here comes Salah. Ekatike. Pirouetting pass to Gravenberch. Now here's Curtis Jones, links up with Wirtz, back to Jones, back heel. Ekatike couldn't keep it. Cherki. Nunes. Son comes out. Here's Semenyo. Cherki. Rodri. Chopped back. Flicks one out to the left-hand side. Here's O'Reilly. And now City with a little bit of momentum getting forward. Silva. Towards the edge of the penalty area. Doku has Gravenberch and Gomez in his way. Onto his right, laid off to Gehi. That's inside to Rodri. Tries to line one up. Struck Ekitike. Here's O'Reilly. Fisting towards the near post. It's off Szoboszlai. And gets across and concedes the corner. Erling Haaland wanted it first time. Bit of luck in the way it found its way to Nico O'Reilly there. One thing I can tell you is Pep Guardiola certainly isn't enjoying his afternoon. Well, he's on the phone now and calling down to the bench. Cherki's delivery right underneath the crossbar. Mamardashvili came, but it's away by Van Dijk. Doku. Nunes. Cross to Silva. Right of centre has Semenyo wide to his right. Still going Silva, weaving his way to the edge of the box. Semenyo now. Rodri edge of the penalty area. Bit of space for Mateus Nunes. Pops back to him. O'Reilly with his back to goal. Doku rifles one towards goal. The referee's going to point to the penalty spot for the challenge on Nico O'Reilly. It's Virgil van Dijk, who can't quite believe it. No way, says the Liverpool skipper. Let's have a look. Yeah, it's clear. The replay, it's pretty obvious. He's just kicked his right foot. It's definitely a penalty. I think Michael Oliver tries to let the move develop. Straightforward decision in the end. It will be Erling Haaland with a golden opportunity to give Manchester City the lead here. He scored in each of the last 3 games that Manchester City have played against Liverpool here at the Etihad. And up against Georgi Mamardashvili, deputising for Alisson, and makes no mistake with the penalty. Drives it into the bottom corner. Sends him the wrong way. Erling Haaland gives Manchester City the lead. Van Dijk is still stewing, but he can have no complaints about the decision. Well, at Wembley in May, it was Omar Marmoush who was denied by Dean Henderson for the penalty spot. There was some eyebrows raised as to why Erling Haaland didn't take that one. Well, he has here, and he's shown just why. That's 31 in all competitions for Erling Haaland. He's 6th in 11 against Liverpool. And Arne Slot's frustration is understandable. His side have been effervescent, they've been confident, they've been playing with a panache, a style that has been missing from football, especially over the past 12 months or so, but the game has turned against them. Penalty conceded by one of their most consistent performers, their leader. And here is Haaland again trying to rub a bit of salt into the wounds, look to link up with Nico O'Reilly, but can't find the pass. Here is Kerkez taking it away for Liverpool. Now Ekitike drawn out to the left-hand side. Kusanov gets in the way. Kerkez. to Jones. Now Van Dijk. Gomez. It's away by Quater. Just into midfield by Kusanov. Here's Rodri. Back to Kusanov. He'll be at the World Cup with Uzbekistan. It's a sentence I never thought I'd say. Gahey. Cherki's come a bit deeper to get involved in the build-up. Here is Mark Gahey. Forward to O'Reilly. Now Doku. Cherki on the left. To the edge of the centre circle for Nunes. Here's Silva. Twisting, looking for angles. Down the outside it goes for Semenyo. Holding off Kerkez. Finds Cherki. Back to Rodri. Now Gahey. Doku. City, a bit of patience, trying to work the ball. Gahey's cross is a switch of play, a lovely little touch by Cherki. Nunes. Too much height on his delivery. Gahey collecting on the far side. Cherki. Just outside the centre circle. Ekitike in his way. He's back to Mark Gahey. Switch of play by Rodri. Taken down by Silva on this right-hand side. Laid off by Nunes. Into the box by Antoine Semenyo. And from a wide position, from the byline towards the back post, O'Reilly gets his head on it. It's up in the air. Will drop to Doku. Near the corner flag. Now Rodri. Towards the near post. A clever run from Cherki, but the ball just got away from him and bobbles out of play for a goal kick. We've got 2 minutes to go until the break. City with a slender lead, an even contest though so far at the Etihad. It's Mamadashvili. Over Ekitike's head, chested down by Kusanov. Rodri finds Semenyo. Rodri. It's over the top for Doku, and Joe Gomez has missed his header, but the flag is up. I think he's just nudged into him there, just leant into the whack of Joe Gomez as Jeremy Doku. That's what the decision has been given for. Final minute of this first half. Clearance chested down by Kusanov in the centre circle. Rodri. There's O'Reilly wriggling his way to try and escape. Szoboszlai. Strong play from the Hungarian. Throwing out on the far side. Scored a lot of goals in the second half of the ball. In fact, majority of them on their travels have come in the second period. So, still plenty of encouragement for Arne Slot's team. Gravenberg, Canate, Gomez. Tumbles as he comes into contact with O'Reilly. That will be a free kick. Just inside the Liverpool half of the pitch. Switch of play out to this left-hand side. Ekitike is off after it. Can't keep it in play. Missed his kick not once but twice. That bobbles off the shins. Will be a goal kick for James Trafford, which he wastes little time with. Rodri to Silva. Silva to Gahey, who can step down this left-hand side for City and then tuck one in. And Dijk had to stretch to make sure it didn't reach Erling Haaland. It's out to Antoine Semenyo rushing onto it for Manchester. In the final minutes of added time. Kickers. Over Jaboslai. Picked up by Silva. Now here's Gahey. That's between the lines for Mateus Nunes. It's on his right-hand side. Cherki in front of Semenyo. Now Semenyo. Clip towards Haaland! On the stroke of half-time. Erling Haaland with a deft little header to double City's lead. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant from Erling Haaland. Liverpool were almost waiting for the half-time whistle. It's so clever from Cherki to find Semenyo. And it's a cross crying out to be finished. It's brilliant from Erling Haaland, who's running across the face of goal and does ever so well to turn it just inside the far post. A brilliant time to score it. Liverpool were right in the game, heading into the break. Keep your chin up, says Arne Slot. Well, with that, City may well have booked themselves the trip to Wembley yet again. Michael Oliver blows the whistle for half-time. An Erling Haaland double. First from the penalty spot, and then just then, on the stroke of the break, with a trademark placed header, has given Manchester City control of the game against a Liverpool side that have showed endeavour, showed energy, showed invention. But once again, as has been the case so often this season, they're on the back foot. Half-time in this FA Cup quarter-final. It's Manchester City 2, Liverpool 0.
Thank you for listening to FootMob's audio commentary. Be sure to check out player ratings, shot maps and more in-depth info on the match page. Remember to check out FootMob's social channels on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok. Thank you for listening to FootMob's audio commentary. Be sure to check out player ratings, shot maps and more in-depth info on the match page. Remember to check out FootMob's social channels on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok. Thank you for listening to FootMob's audio commentary. Be sure to check out player ratings, shot maps and more in-depth info on the match page. Remember to check out FootMob's social channels on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok. Thank you for listening to FootMob's audio commentary. Be sure to check out player ratings, shot maps and more in-depth info on the match page. Remember to check out FootMob's social channels on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok. Thank you for listening to FootMob's audio commentary. Be sure to check out player ratings, shot maps and more in-depth info on the match page. Remember to check out FootMob's social channels on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok. Thank you for listening to FootMob's audio commentary. Be sure to check out player ratings, shot maps and more in-depth info on the match page. Remember to check out FootMob's social channels on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok. Thank you for listening to FootMob's audio commentary. Be sure to check out player ratings, shot maps and more in-depth info on the match page. Remember to check out FootMob's social channels on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok.
Nil lead in this FA Cup quarter-final over Liverpool. Erling Haaland with both goals. Initially from the penalty spot, a penalty conceded by Virgil van Dijk for a challenge on Nico O'Reilly. Not really many arguments against it, to be honest, having looked at the replay a couple of times. Even Van Dijk's complaints were half-hearted in the moment. And then right on the stroke of the break, with Liverpool still just about in the game at 1-0, Erling Haaland with a trademark header to flash it past Georgi Mamadashvili to give Manchester City a comfortable cushion at the start of this second half. Liverpool had chances that went begging. Played with invention, with purpose. Florian Wirtz here, who's tussling with Kusanov, has been one of their most potent players. He's a little bit frustrated with the treatment from Kusanov, who looked to just shove him over the byline. The assistant referee closest to it flagged for a City goal kick. Doesn't need many chances, Erling Haaland, and he's pretty much taken both of the efforts that have fallen to him this afternoon. Liverpool with a bright start in the second half. They're looking for Gomez. O'Reilly is across, and Gomez's haste to try and get on the end of the ball sees him concede the free kick, and now Liverpool players will surround the referee and vent their frustration at Michael Oliver. It just seemed to jump into Joe Gomez, to be honest, Nico O'Reilly. On a slot leading sense a feeling of unfair treatment amongst the Liverpool bench. Majority of the game. Bernardo Silva and now Rodri. Kusanov probes that Liverpool midfield, laid it off to Rodri. Nunes. Kusanov to Silva. It's the first time Haaland has scored 2 goals against Liverpool for City and what's his 9th appearance against the Reds across all competition. Now the 27th team he's managed to score more than 1 against in a game. He'll be hunting a hat-trick. There's Rodri. Silva drifting into a little pocket between the lines, tries to poke it out to Doku's a little bit caught on his heels in the pass. Probably slightly overhit as well from Bernardo Silva, not something you often say. Pretty even so far. 6 shots from Liverpool, just 1 on target though, that's the main difference. Gomez. Straight to Gahey. Now O'Reilly. That's slipped in behind for Doku! It's over Mamardashvili! It's Semenyo with the finish. The flag stays down and City make it 3. And is that now for Liverpool? Is that the end of their FA Cup aspirations? It's brilliant from City to set him free. Let's have a little look. All comes from a Joe Gomez throw-in, which doesn't get past Gahey. Little cushion layoff to O'Reilly. Clever pass from Ryan Cherki. Semenyo on the blind side of Van Dijk. It's a first-time finish, just to lift it over Mamardashvili. Doesn't even have his head up. And it bounces over the goal line. Brilliant. His first City goal was in this competition, Antoine Semenyo. And he shows up again in the quarter-finals. City can start to plan for Wembley again. And this is becoming an all too familiar feeling for Arne Slot. 8,000 Liverpool supporters in today at the Etihad due to the increased away allocations thanks to FA Cup rules. 8,000 bodies, 8,000 faces. As Salah brings out a big save from James Trafford. City want the offside flag, it's not going to come. Gomez. Gravenberg, signs of life from Liverpool. Gomez with the cross. Trafford thinks about coming, will leave it. Ekitike has to scamper out to the far side to keep it in. Van Dijk for Konate. Here's Curtis Jones. Gomez, back to Jones. Salah. It's away from Mo Salah, and now here's Haaland. Laid off by Silva. Sharp from City. Here's Cherki. Semenyo streaking through the middle. Still with Cherki. Going down the outside. Drifts past Kerkez. Cherki to the edge of the box. Semenyo's touch just a little bit too heavy. He was in again. Van Dijk got sucked across to the far side, which left open that space for Semenyo to drive through. Huge gaps in the centre of Liverpool's defence. There's Gahey stepping in to intercept in front of Salah. Now Rodri. Haaland with the run, taking defenders away. Rodri lays it off. Here's Ray and Cherky. Shifted onto his left, scoops it up in the air, looking for Haaland, cushioned back by Curtis Jones. It's a nice idea from Ryan Cherky. Pep Guardiola was an animated figure in the hospitality box he's found himself in, high in the stands of the Etihad Stadium. Watchalong. Well, too many bodies in there for him to work through. Semenyo spotted Mamardashvili off his line, tries his luck from a long, long way out. And Mamardashvili was retreating. It ends up on the roof of the net. It was almost on target, that, from Antoine Semenyo. Got his head up. It's just inside his own half of the pitch, the effort. His compatriot, his international colleague, Abdul Fattah, who scored a very similar goal for Leicester City earlier on this season. And that's the kind of confidence he's playing with since making the switch from the south coast to the east of Manchester. It's Jones. Kerkez. Ekitike. Ibrahima Konate. Joe Gomez opens his body up. Won't be able to get the cross away, so it's a square ball inside to Mohamed Salah. Watchalong. Van Dijk. Kerkez linking up with Wirtz. Can't return it to Kerkez. It was Semenyo in the way. Now Gravenberg, edge of the penalty area beyond Watchalong. Salah first time, left-footed effort, tried to wrap his foot round it, but was leaning back as he struck it. And that's into some very happy City fans behind James Trafford's goal. You'd expect him to hit the target there, Mo Salah. First half, Liverpool. What really matters is the scoreline. Teams will go on. They haven't reached that stage of the competition since 2022, which for a side of their calibre is an alarming statistic. Is Rodri in midfield for City. Taking his time in possession here. Back to him by Rodri. Semenyo, excuse me. Now O'Reilly to Gahey. Now Rodri. O'Reilly. Rodri. Silva. And here's O'Reilly between the lines. Bit of space for Doku. Pull back. Haaland! It's set up by O'Reilly. Erling Haaland with the hat-trick. An emphatic style off the underside of the crossbar. Manchester City are heading to Wembley for the FA Cup semi-finals, and Liverpool are on the end of a bit of a pasting now. A hat-trick for Haaland. It's so clever from City. Starts with O'Reilly in midfield, finds Doku on the left-hand side. O'Reilly continues his run. He just ghosts past Joe Gomez, who I'm not sure he knows he's even there. It slipped between Quater and Gomez. O'Reilly with the cutback. Mamardashvili tries to close down the angle for Nico O'Reilly. That leaves the goal at Erling Haaland's mercy. Rattles off the underside of the woodwork. Ends up in the back of the net. It's his 28th career hat-trick for Erling Haaland. A 12th in City Blue. The Mo Salah farewell tour. The first stop is Haaland's stage, and Haaland's stage alone. Here he is. Little flick off the heel of Ekitike, and Trafford can pluck it out of the air. And those banks of red shirts high in the top two tiers of the Etihad Stadium behind James Trafford's goal are starting to empty already. Shy of the hour mark. They're doing the Poznan in the stands, the City supporters. It's party time in Manchester. Gravenberch for Ekitike. Gravenberch for Kerkez. And now here's Wirtz. Looking for Salah again. Will pop out for Jaboslai on the edge of the box. Salah ran into O'Reilly. Jones nicks it away. Here's Salah again. There'll be some changes for City soon. Salah still trying to dance his way. Was in the way. And now with Silva near the corner flag. Peter Lindish, the man in the dugout today, in the place of the suspended Pep Guardiola, who's preparing those changes. He's been on the phone throughout the game, I've got to tell you, Pep Guardiola in the stands. Even a heavy touch from Ryan Cherki. He's one that doesn't get too far away from him. He has been dispossessed eventually by Milos Kerkez, but been that kind of day for Liverpool where even the successful challenges are ones that don't end up with them in possession of the ball. Here's O'Reilly on the left-hand side. Infield to Doku. O'Reilly. Gahey in midfield. Rodri. Gahey again. O'Reilly once more. That's inside to Kusanov. Now Rodri for Haaland. Clumsy from Gravenberch, concedes the free kick on the edge of the centre circle. In fact, it's Quater, excuse me. So the changes can be made now. They'll take off Jeremy Doku. And on this place is going to come Savinho, a 21-year-old Brazilian. And it's Rodri who makes way for Nico Gonzalez. A straight swap in midfield there. And a change in the back line for Liverpool. We'll see Joe Gomez withdrawn and the slightly more attack-minded Jeremy Frimpong brought on, but surely too little too late now for Arne Slot. They'll be looking for a response, of course. You know, next on the agenda, it's going to be a really tough ask, a trip to Paris on Wednesday. In the space of 4 days, they could essentially be out of any contention for silverware this year. Didn't get off to the best of starts, did it? The first Potential trophy lost to Crystal Palace, the Community Shield. They've been off the... It's on to Ekitike. That's a foul, and that's a penalty. Mateus Nunes with the challenge. Mo Salah. He's had a couple of chances and hasn't been able to take them. Now facing James Trafford. Wembley hero in the Carabao Cup final not too many days ago for Manchester City. Salah to get his name on the score sheet and get Liverpool back in the game. Oh, pushed away by Trafford. Great save. Fished back in there by Szoboszlai. And City can clear the danger. That sums up Salah and Liverpool's day. It's superb goalkeeping from James Trafford. Stood his ground, waited for Salah to pick his spot, and denies the man whose name has been sung from the rafters around the away end at the Etihad Stadium a final FA Cup goal. He looked nervous standing over it. There was only really one pick for it, wasn't there? Frimpong. Returned to him by Mo Salah, but Trafford is out to meet it now. With an overarm throw into midfield. And here comes Cherki. Cherki tries to slip it down the outside for Savinho, who looked like he might have had the beating of Kerkez. Forced to foul him in the end. There's going to be some more Liverpool changes. Alexis McAllister and Cody Gakpo are set to come on now. Cast your mind back. This time last year, Liverpool were heading for the Premier League title. Arne Slot celebrated as Merseyside's latest hero, taken short by Silva the free kick. It's Cherki back to Silva from range, easily saved by Mamadashvili. What a difference a year makes. And it's almost beggars belief how far they have slumped now, Liverpool. At the moment trailing Aston Villa in the Premier League by 5 points in that pursuit of Champions League qualification. They need to be careful as well. They've got Chelsea and Brentford snapping at their heels. Fulham themselves are only 5 points behind Liverpool. Well, there's three waiting on the touchline for Liverpool. A yellow card for Bernardo Silva. Tuck back on Mo Salah as he tried to get away. On comes Alexis McAllister. He'll replace Ryan Gravenberch. Ekitike trotting off, as is Florian Wirtz, to make way for Rio Ngamoa and Cody Gakpo. A little bit surprised in some ways to see Mo Salah stay on the pitch here. He's going to be sent into a central role. I think Arne Slot wants to save him from what would be the indignity of being booed in his, surely now his final FA Cup appearance. He's in Gamoa. Jones, Frimpong, closed down by O'Reilly. Frimpong heads off for the byline, gets there, it'll scoop it across the face of goal. Trafford was scrambling, Nunes was there to nod it behind for Liverpool corner. It's good defending by Mateus Nunes. Watchalong with a set piece. Here comes the corner. It's up in the air by Haaland. Nunes will take it down and tuck it down the outside where Savinho will race onto it. Pokes it down the touchline and City surging forward. Savinho looking for Haaland. Quater retreated and Frimpong can hook it away. Cushioned down by Gonzalez, looking for Savinho. Tijani Reinders is already down below us. We're going to see another City change. Gamoa. Trying to inject a little bit of energy into Liverpool, despite the scoreline. It's given away to Savinho in a central area. There are still those that believe that Manchester City can go on and win the domestic treble. Gap to Arsenal, 9 points as it stands. City with a game in hand. It will be reduced to just 6 if they beat Chelsea. Two City changes, in fact. Tijani Reinders is one of them. He'll replace the ever so impressive Ryan Cherki, who's weaved his magic today. Been a really important part of this ever so impressive City performance. Replacing Reinders. And Antoine Semenyo too gives way. Phil Foden been in the headlines after England's difficult international break, and Thomas Tuchel has been happy to speak about the potential exclusion from Phil Foden from the England squad. Might not make it on the plane to the United States, Mexico and Canada, but he'll make it onto the pitch today as a replacement for Semenyo. He's in Gamoa. Jones. McAllister. Shifted across to Van Dijk. And Gakpo on the left-hand side. Trying to carve out a crossing opportunity. It's a high, almost languid ball to the back post, chested down by Foden and scooped away by Nico O'Reilly. In by Frimpong. Jones. Canate. Van Dijk. Kerkez. Gakpo. It's still being played in front of Man City here. Canate. And Gamoa. They've got everyone behind the ball on the edge of their own box here, Manchester City. It's making it very difficult for Liverpool to try and carve out some kind of opportunity, which surely would just be a consolation now. Van Dijk. McAllister. Canate. On the outside is Rio and Gamoa. That's against Phil Foden. Liverpool with the corner. Less than 20. Liverpool fans Trots out to this near side. To the back post. Give it away. Given away by Gahey. Frimple. Salah. Savinho. Gonzalez. Silva. Haaland has space near the centre circle. And runners too. Here's Reinders. Across goes Quater and shepherds it back to Mamardashvili. They've wasted possession again, Liverpool. Another Manchester City throw-in. By O'Reilly. Gonzalez just let the ball bounce away from him. Collected by McAllister, and now Gravenberch close to the edge of the penalty area. Wide to Rio and Gamoa. Tries to get to the byline. It's against O'Reilly, but back off the teenager. And the goal kick. The end result for Manchester City. Well, it can't be perfect for Man City. Rain Cherky once again draws the ire of some of his supporters and the wider football community. He was pictured sat on a Manchester City bench wearing a Liverpool shirt, one he'd swapped with Hugo Ekitike, I believe. And quickly got a word from the coaching staff alongside him to take that off as quickly as possible. Nunes. You can see that the pass he was trying to play. It's too close to Van Dijk though. Reinders ghosted in behind the Dutchman. Now McAllister. Gakpo. McAllister from a long way. Out. It swerved in front of Trafford, who's saved it. Low down to it. Midfield with Kusanov. And Silva. Just preparing Omar Marmoush. You imagine that'll be for Erling Haaland. He'll get the standing ovation his performance roundly deserves. Szoboszlai and Gamoa. McAllister caught late there by Gonzalez. Will be a free kick for Liverpool inside their own half of the pitch, and there is confirmation of that change. And almost to a man, 60-odd thousand around this stadium rise to their feet to salute Erling Haaland. A hat-trick today, his 12th in City colours. Broke the back of Liverpool, shattered dreams of FA Cup glory, and has practically sent them through to the semi-final single-handedly. He'll be replaced by Omar Marmoush, who has his own FA Cup demons to deal with. His penalty saved by Dean Henderson in the final last May. And an ironic cheer as well around the Etihad Stadium as off goes Mo Salah. And on comes Federico Chiesa. Salah's final FA Cup appearance ends in disappointment after another tough afternoon. Here's McAllister for Konate. Down the outside for Frimpong. McAllister to Kerkez. Van Dijk, McAllister, Silva. Mark Gahey finds Savinho, and it could get worse for Liverpool here. You can't find Reinders, Savinho. Van Dijk across to mop things up for Liverpool. Not sure even Pep Guardiola can believe what he's seen today from his team. Sat in the stands covering his mouth. Pointed out to the left-hand side by Kusanov, excuse me, to Savinho. Inside to Silva. Gonzalez. Silva had to stretch. Might have been caught there by Virgil van Dijk, who gets it away fairly. Javoslai. Gamoa. Frimpong now. McAllister. Canate. Across to Kerkez. Gamoa inside, McAllister. Little touch on it by Reinders, and now Foden forward. Passing around Van Dijk and Kerkez. Dispossessed and Gamoa, but we'll get the foul. Free kick from the far side. To the penalty area, Gakpo rises. And it's a tame header, which is gathered by James Trafford. Backheel from Silva. Nunes forward, finds Foden. Looking inside for Silva again. McAllister in the way. And Kerkez. Chiesa. Backheel for Van Dijk. Gakpo. Turn back to Szoboszlai. Inside left position, 35 yards away from goal. Back out to Gakpo. Szoboszlai. Kerkez. McAllister. Rio and Gamoa. For the ball. It's away by Mateus Nunes, that cross. Van Dijk. Kerkez again. Szoboszlai. McAllister. Canate. Out to the right for Rio and Gamoa. Running now at O'Reilly. Gets across and wins it back well for City. Marmoush. Turning a tight space for Reinders on the edge of his own box. Finds Foden. Foden back to Nunes. And Gonzalez finds Silva. And Gonzalez is fouled by a rather frustrated looking Ibrahima Konate. Well, 8 minutes of normal time remaining. Both sides know exactly what's going to happen here. Almost seem to be going through the motions. Liverpool. And Manchester City, who are set to win their 32nd consecutive FA Cup match outside of semi-finals and finals since losing to Wigan in the 5th round in the 2017-2018 season. Already hold the record for the most semi-finals reached consecutively. They're going to extend that today. It's Quater. Ngumoa. McAllister on halfway. Right side of the centre circle. Looks at the long diagonal out to Kirkes. There is Nunes. And now Foden. Nunes near the corner flag to Kusanov. Bernardo Silva. There's a delicate little pass to find Gonzalez, and now here comes Foden. Two through the middle, Savinho and Marmoush. The pass from Foden is over here. And gathered by Mamardashvili on the edge of his penalty area. Watchalong. McAllister forward. Jones. White Rio Ngumoa. Curtis Jones. Ibrahim Konate. Chiesa. Back to Konate. Now Frimpong. Down the right for Rio Ngumoa. Curtis Jones. Frimpong stayed wide. Held at bay by Savinho and O'Reilly. And Ngumoa for McAllister. Now Konate. Van Dijk. Gakpo. Szoboszlai. Quickly closed him down. Chiesa tries to thread it through for pass towards Gakpo, but quickly closed down by Kusanov. Frimpong on the right hand side, probing O'Reilly unsuccessfully. Good challenge from Nico O'Reilly. Savinho tries to take on Ngumoa and ends up running it out of play. Five to go. Szoboszlai. The fever pitch atmosphere is just settled now. The sun's come out in Manchester. It's shining. The sky blue shirts today. It was practically over just after half time. There's Van Dijk. Szoboszlai. Konate. Down the outside for Rio Ngumoa. Frimpong. Back to Konate. Inside to McAllister. And here's Van Dijk to Kirkes. Van Dijk again. McAllister. Down the outside for Rio Ngumoa. Rolls his foot over the ball. Now tries to fizz one into the box. It came off O'Reilly. Ngumoa. Konate. McAllister. Szoboszlai. Konate. McAllister. Taken away by Savinho. Konate steps across, and it's about time. He's been shown a yellow card now by Michael Oliver. Series of fouls from the Frenchman eventually sees him punished. Three minutes remaining of the scheduled 90. We'll have a bit of added time, but I suspect it won't be that much. They're singing Blue Moon from the stands. There are smiles on the City benches, frowns in the Liverpool dugout. Gonzalez was given away by Kusanov. Szoboszlai, and Nico Gonzalez is forced into the foul. And He'll be punished with a yellow card for his troubles. Frimpong. And Gamoa. Kirkes beats Foden to it. Chiesa. McAllister. Canate. Rio and Gamoa. Szoboszlai, first time ball into the box, going to bounce all the way through and a hack at it from Kusanov. James Trafford with a smile at Cody Gakpo as he claims that. Well, no surprises to hear that Erling Haaland has been named man of the match. And away they come again with Marmoush. And that's behind Gonzalez. Szoboszlai. Gakpo. Here's Frimpong. And a miss-hit cross sails out of play. And would you believe it, there's no time added on. There is the whistle, a ruthless clinical statement of intent from the blue half of Manchester. The FA Cup quarter-final ends not with a whisper, but with a roar of dominance. For the 8th successive season, Manchester City are heading to Wembley for an FA Cup semi-final. It's a record that defies the modern era of the competition, a testament to the machine that Pep Guardiola has built, even as he watched this one from the stands. The story of the afternoon belongs to one man, Erling Haaland, a hat-trick of the highest order, started from the penalty spot and finished in emphatic fashion off the underside of the crossbar. Antoine Semenyo added gloss to a performance that felt like a coronation from the moment the second goal went in. But for Liverpool, it's a sombre, season-defining afternoon. It's been that kind of campaign for them. They sit 5th in the Premier League. They're in danger of missing out on Champions League qualification. They haven't reached the Final Four of this competition since 2022, and today that wait was extended in the most painful fashion imaginable as the away end emptied after a little bit more than an hour played. The image of the match will be Mohamed Salah standing over that penalty, only to see James Trafford produce a stunning save. In what we now know is Salah's final FA Cup appearance. It was a cruel, quiet exit for a player who has dominated this fixture for a decade. There is no time for Arne Slot to mourn this result. In less than 96 hours, his side must walk into the cauldron of the Parc des Princes to face PSG. They leave the Etihad with their domestic cup dreams in ruins, searching for answers before the lights of Paris come on Wednesday night. But today, Manchester is blue, and the road to Wembley continues for the side beaten in the final last year. Full time at the Etihad, and it's finished. Manchester City 4, Liverpool 0.
Thank you for listening to FootMob's audio commentary. Be sure to check out player ratings, shot maps and more in-depth info on the match page. Remember to check out FootMob's social channels on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok. Thank you for listening to FootMob's audio commentary. Be sure to check out player ratings, shot maps and more in-depth info on the match page. Remember to check out FootMob's social channels on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok. Thank you for listening to FootMob's audio commentary. Be sure to check out player ratings, shot maps and more in-depth info on the match page. Remember to check out FootMob's social channels on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok. Thank you for listening to FootMob's audio commentary. Be sure to check out player ratings, shot maps and more in-depth info on the match page. Remember to check out FootMob's social channels on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok. Thank you for listening to FootMob's audio commentary. Be sure to check out player ratings, shot maps and more in-depth info on the match page. Remember to check out FootMob's social channels on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok. Thank you for listening to FootMob's audio commentary. Be sure to check out player ratings, shot maps and more in-depth info on the match page.